Hello.
Hello.
Today, I am so excited because I get to talk with Joccola Thomas. She is the owner of Kreamies Bakery, and we are talking about making transitions and seeing how those transitions and those risks we're taking, how they can lead us into some exciting places. So, welcome to the show, Joccola. How are you?
I am fabulous. Thank you so much for taking the time to hear about little old me.
Little OU, you have been doing some dynamic things. I can't wait for you to share with the audience. So, if we can just start, tell us a little bit about you and about your business.
As you said, Joccola Thomas.
Yeah.
I have been in banking, was in banking for over 20 something years.
Mhm.
And my last position was Assistant VP of Business Development for a large credit union here in South Jersey. And then COVID. Then COVID. I am now owner, CEO of Kreamies Bakery, Delectable Delights. I have two wonderful sons and a grandson who is 2 years old now.
Wow.
Yeah. Yep. And just kind of doing and listening to what God says and pitter patting along the way, following directions of Him. Yeah.
I love that. I love that. So tell us what exactly happened during that time in COVID that allowed for you to take this step for your business?
So it's what happened during COVID, but it actually what happened leading up to COVID, where I really had become unsatisfied, unfulfilled
Mm,
in the position that I was in, that I fought so hard for as an African American woman. I'll put that,
yeah,
lay that there. We'll park
yeah.
that. Um, and then one day, just praying after a really long, hard day, I remember praying on my way home. You know, sometimes you have those drives home from work, and there was so much that has transpired during your day. You're like, how did I get here? I don't even remember. I'm home already. And I remember saying, God, I am so over this. What next? And He said to me so clear, I'm going to remove you, but you will not work for anyone else. And I
Wow.
remember going under a passageway thinking, what? You know how I like to live. I have bills to pay. And I might add, I was newly divorced. So it's like, it's
Okay.
just me, God. And again, here goes COVID. So just before that, I had started baking. I was really known for cooking well. I had a
Okay.
small business called Blue Lyrics Cafe, what they would call now a pop-up. I just
Mhm.
would randomly rent locations and kind of bring in a little crowd. I have a music background. My dad played the bass for the OJs. My brother, he's a musician for Summer Walker. He sings himself. I sing. So they were excited. They were like, well, we'll take care of all of the musical stuff.
Yeah.
And I took care of ticket sales, and then my family just kind of came in. It was just a wonderful experience, but I still was pursuing a career. That was a lot of work. It was a
Yeah.
lot of work. So I kind of chased after the money at that time. My faith wasn't where it was with
Okay.
the bakery, and that's how I knew it was God. When COVID came along, and by that time, my business had really started to take off. People were home, locked in, but they still wanted sweets.
Yeah.
And so at that time, business for me had really increased. We were home, we weren't able to go to work. And it was just an amazing, amazing ride. Someday I'll definitely publish a book.
You have to. You have
Yeah.
to.
Yeah.
So let's talk about that drive that you had within. You talk about your faith. What is that drive that lets you move past being not so sure, but truly knowing that you could do it? Can you share with us a little bit about, having people want your things and getting those first orders? You shared with me some of that, and I think it's so important for people to understand, you didn't just get to this brick and mortar.
Yeah. So what happened was while I was working, I actually 2 years prior to that even, I make this really good banana pudding, and the cream in it, yes, was really good. And I remember, everybody has that small little part in their kitchen where you just kind of think, you talk on the phone, you get the goods on the phone in the kitchen.
Yeah,
And I remember leaning up against my countertop thinking, this would really taste good in a cupcake. And I just kept it pushing because at that time I was in my flesh
yeah.
and going through a lot of things. And I thought, oh, they're going to think, oh, it's that bad. She's got to sell cupcakes. So I
Wow.
left it alone. Isn't that crazy? 2 years
Yeah.
prior, I could have been somewhere else by now. But 2 years later, I took a chance and I, baked some cupcakes for my son's basketball team because they were in a championship game. And I said, you know what? I'm going to bring these just in case they don't win. Well, they did. But I'll never forget that day because that was the day that I released the flavor, the taste of Kreamies to the public for the first
Okay,
time ever. And
okay.
to see their reactions, like, are you selling these? Oh my God, they're amazing. And then the next month, I took them, the banana pudding one and two other flavors, to a birthday party of mine, and same reaction. So I remember one of my girlfriend's husbands kind of standing in front of my car after we had packed up everything from the party saying, Joccola, you need to sell those cupcakes. Well, a couple of weeks went by and I was speaking with one of my girlfriends
Yeah.
about it, Kia, and she said, well, you need to make a post. If you don't, I'm going to charge you for each one. Me still in my own way. And I'm like, nope, that's not happening. So that next day I made a post and it was just this: I'm going to start a business and I'm not stopping. That was my post.
Wow.
The response was just crazy. And really just after that, every week my orders, well, first of all, that weekend I wound up baking over 300 cupcakes. I only had 3 flavors, right?
Okay.
And every weekend I thought, okay, it'll slow down. It'll slow down because, it's just cupcakes. Well, it never did. So by
Wow.
the third month, I went and I got an LLC. Couple weeks later, I found out about the carriage law here in New Jersey. We were the only state left, I think us and one other state, where we weren't allowed to bake and sell from our homes.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And I knew nothing about that until I went into Hobby Lobby, the Lord's Bake Shop. And someone told me about it. I said, all right, well, let me get a ghost kitchen. So I went back to the kitchen that I used to use during
Mhm.
the initial business,
I love it.
which was Blue Lyrics Cafe. And I couldn't find a lady's number. I pulled up to the kitchen and wasn't it right on the outside of the kitchen. So I called
Mm.
her, said, her name was Natalie. I said, listen, I started a business. I need a kitchen. I'd serve safe, all of that stuff, and literally took care of like three major elements right there. I sealed the
Wow.
deal with the kitchen. I got my insurance and I set up for my serve safe right there in the parking lot of where this kitchen was. She wasn't even there.
I love it.
So after that, I just kind of kept pushing along and business continued to grow. I hired a realtor
Yeah.
because everyone kept saying, you need your own spot, you need your own spot. But for me, I thought it hasn't even been a year. Like, what are you
Right.
talking about? But they saw something else. I'm a very precautious person where I
Mhm.
have to see everything. I have to get confirmation first from the Lord
Yeah.
because that's my backup plan. I'm not my backup, but he's the author and the finisher, right? So
Amen.
finally, I had found two places. They didn't go well. The one I actually did sign a lease with and winded up suing him because one, I should have probably waited and really looked a little bit deeper into the location. There's so many things that I could talk about with that, but finally got my money back
Yeah.
2 years later from that. But out of that came my location where I am now. I had went online to look for some equipment and
Yeah.
stumbled across a bakery that had just closed, and she invited me in to take a look at what they had. I told her I had a location, but so I thought, but I just wanted to see really one how they were set up inside because I've been in a kitchen before, a commercial
Yeah.
kitchen, but never a bakery.
Yeah.
So I went there, saw a few things, and it was like, now we both stood outside of this location. She was thinking, wow, I know you would kill it out here, but I know you have another place. And I was thinking, God, why would you bring me here if I have a
Mm.
place? What are you saying? Two? I can't handle that.
Yeah. Yeah.
So literally 2 weeks later, I winded up dissolving the relationship with the previous landlord. I called her back. She gave me the number to her landlord, and I
Yeah.
was moved in by October. And we talked in September. We opened October 16th.
Wow.
So we just celebrated 2 years being in that brick and mortar,
Yes.
and it was pretty amazing. It was pretty amazing.
Well, it is pretty amazing to hear the backstory because we have that similar friend in Kia. And
Hmm.
so I've been able to watch this progression of
Uh-huh.
what you've been doing, and your bakery is not just the normal bakery, Joccola.
No, no. We have a little bit of everything. We represent, I feel I represent my ancestors well with some of the items that we have, from bread pudding to sweet potato pie, that good buttery
Yeah,
pound cake. My grandmother, she used to make this crazy bread pudding. I
yeah.
just kind of kicked it up a notch and I added liquor. I'm sorry, grandma. But But we have some pretty amazing items. And what I did was I took a little bit of what home bakers would make, because we had time to do that. So all those treats that, you see on TikTok and all that
Yeah.
stuff. I took a little bit of that and I brought it to the bakery, because people
Mhm.
don't know how to get like dessert cones, or, those jars. And in
Yeah.
my bakery, you'll get anywhere from, peach cobbler in a jar to banana pudding to strawberry
Ooh.
delight. And these are all desserts that are handcrafted, that are we use fresh ingredients right from our store, and
Mhm.
they're just amazing. These are, as a matter of fact, we made the front page of a couple of newspapers, and
Awesome.
on the front it said, um, woman that lost position due to COVID opens bakery offering hard to find desserts.
Wow.
And so that's what we're known for, carrying hard to find treats. So when you
Yeah,
Google us, banana pudding comes up,
yeah,
peach, pineapple upside down cake comes up, because they are not necessarily, delectables that bakeries are selling, because a
yeah.
lot of our bakeries, they kind of specialize in specific
Mhm.
cuisines.
So talk to me about taking such risks when you had all these things going on. You talked about just coming out of divorce and, desiring to do different things because there are so many women that desire to do things, but they are so afraid. They're so afraid of, you could have stopped when that one landlord, when it didn't work
Yeah.
with you. So, what was it deep within you that told you you could keep moving forward?
I'm going to say this one, I need to make this statement. I was never the kind of person who, some people just have that. I want to be, an entrepreneur. I'm going to run my
Yeah.
own stuff. I don't want
Yeah.
anybody telling me what to do. Da, 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 da. Let's be sure, I was not that person. Okay. I
Yeah.
was the person, I work hard for my money.
Yeah.
I liked money. I had mastered, going into interviews, coming out what I wanted, and some. I liked my 401k and my
Yeah.
insurance, health insurance, all that stuff. So I was not that person. But when I prayed and asked God to show me, you said I wasn't going to be working for someone, so this must gonna be good. Show me what it is that I'm supposed to be doing. And when he did it during COVID and it manifested the way that it did, I said, oh my God, this must be it. This
Yeah.
must be it. And I remember watching, you remember Susie Orman,
Oh,
the
yes.
financial guru? And
Yes,
she
yeah.
said, if you're going to start a business, it needs to be something that will make money for you in your sleep.
Mm.
So the Cash App coin sound. Chee, 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 chee,
Yeah.
chee. I remember being asleep on several occasions, and people going through my website. This is when I was home. I had my website, I had all that stuff set up,
Yeah.
and people just paying for things and then texting me
Wow.
what it was. And I remember waking up one night to that sound thinking, oh, I'm making money in my sleep. This must be.
Yeah.
And then people would say, girl, at night, I'm up, it's like scrolling, and I come across your desserts. And that's when they were ordering, just like, oh my God, I gotta order this. This looks good. And then they too were intrigued by watching me transition from this executive. It was all over my
Yeah.
page. People knew what I did. I
Mhm.
gave money to communities and all that stuff. They never saw me. I mean, I baked and I would post stuff, but
Mhm.
not to that magnitude. So a lot of them were just intrigued by what is going on here. I even had a friend of mine say, now, sis, he said, I know, you're baking and that's great. You have your business, but what
Yeah.
are you going to do with all of that professionalism? Like, we need you. And I said, you just watch, because they didn't know what was going on. They thought this girl
Yeah.
had transitioned from being amongst some heavy hitters to baking
Mhm.
out of her home. And
Yeah.
I think that was scary for them. Well, it was
Mhm.
scary for me, but I was following the voice and the direction of God because I was
Yeah.
not a baker. And I think I told you, I have not been to school. I have not
Yeah.
taken a class. And to
Yeah.
see what I am able to produce and the visions that come when people just tell me what a theme is, you can't just sit that on the shelf. So I
No.
jumped. I said, let me see. Let me see what I could do. And so when I received the call that my position, my department was being dissolved, and
Yeah.
that there was a package for me prepared. I
Mhm.
remember being in my basement after just having contractors come in and do some work, in my basement,
Mhm.
because I already had like a little kitchenette, and then it was slowly taking over my house. And so when HR called, I was between my refrigerator and the dryer.
Mm.
And she's telling me, the goods on what was happening, and, here's your numbers or whatever. I could send you a list of jobs. And I'm like, no, 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 that's okay.
Yes.
Because I mean, I was one of 24 executives making six figures,
Yeah.
and it's COVID and you're dissolving departments. What are
Yeah.
you going to give me? And
Yeah.
whatever it is, I don't think it's where, like, my chance had finally come
Yeah.
to jump where I had a little bit of excess to gamble with.
Yeah.
And that's what I did. I gambled with it and a lot of other money.
Yeah.
But
But you
that
bet
was
on you.
I
You bet
did, and
on
that was what I
you.
said. Yup, I was like, I'm gonna bet on me and see what happens, because I'm often reminded of the scripture that speaks of the three men that God gave talents to, and the
Yeah.
one buried his talent.
Mhm.
And I just thought, I don't want to be that one. I don't want to be the one that buries my God-given talent that I can see that was manifested just for me out of nothing, to go chase money. And I'm really ministering to myself because it's not easy.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
was like, I just don't want to be that person to just throw that away to go chase money that someone dangles in front of me and gets to do and say and treat and, disregard whenever they want.
Yeah.
So I said, you know what? I'm gonna see what happens. And I'm a jump. And I did. So I've had the business since 2019.
Yeah.
I've had my brick and so it's going on 5 years, September
Mhm.
28th. And yes, because when I moved into my business, I celebrated my second year of having Kreamies in my new business. And we've
Yes.
moved on to 2 years. So we're going on 5 years old. And here I am.
I
Here I
love
am.
it. I
Yep.
love it. So many things about that. But you being in tune to trust what you
Yes.
wanted to achieve
Yes.
and
For sure.
believing that God was going to make a way for you because He
Yeah.
had already told you. So you were okay with standing on those promises.
I am definitely faith driven.
Yeah.
And I just believe that, trusting in God. First of all, I believe in the scripture, he's not a God that cannot lie. He made a promise, and a promise
Yeah.
is a what? A promise is a promise. He's not
Yes.
going to make himself look crazy. And I am a representative of him.
Yes.
And so, and also I'm visionary. He shows you things. If you're listening,
Yeah.
you just have to follow direction.
Mhm.
You
Mhm.
just have to follow direction. It's not for the weak. It's not
Yeah.
for the faint. I will say that. And I will also let you know that it's not easy.
Yeah.
and that there are times that money is really, really funny.
Yeah.
But I just listened to this book by Pinky Cole, Slutty
Yes.
Vegan. I purchased the Audible.
Yeah.
And so I was walking around working and I listened to that book in 2 days because it was like talking to you. It
Yeah.
was like talking to, like a real mentor that was right in front of you. And I was never like an audible person. I like the feel of a book and taking
Yes.
time and,
Yeah.
but this girl, she broke it down. And the one thing she really talked about was being ready to pivot,
Yes.
and being prepared to pivot. And so whenever I feel like, okay, so what if something happens?
Mhm.
What's next? Okay, be prepared to pivot.
Yeah.
Because we have literally come through COVID into, a recession, depression. I don't know what you call this right here.
Yeah. Yeah. Definitely. It's
But all I know
very
is I'm
unique.
still here.
Yes, you are still here,
Yeah.
and talk about what it feels like, to be 2 years in your brick and mortar, but also to be able to employ others.
Yes, that is an amazing, amazing feeling to say employees. I have
Yeah.
employees. I have 5 employees. Um, and I think there's so many aspects of owning your own build business that can really push you forward. But
Mhm.
one of them is the ability to employ other people. And in my position, I have a lot of younger people, so it's really more than that. So I'm
Mhm.
employing these people. They're learning in my kitchen. I'm mentoring them. They have
Yeah.
the opportunity to watch my go through because a couple of them do want their own business.
Yeah.
Um, it's just it's an amazing feeling. Like I remember telling someone, like, you never have to worry about me not paying you. I think one day I forgot to press like with the system that I use, you calculate your, payroll and then you have to press another button. And I forgot to press that button. And we're paid on Tuesdays. And so once
Yeah.
the girl said, Miss Joccola, pay didn't come through and I didn't know how to say something to you. I was like, girl, don't you ever not say anything about getting your paycheck. So it was like, you
Yes.
got to tell me. So I went and that's when I realized what happened.
Yeah.
And they were like, well, I just didn't know what to say. And they were afraid or whatever. And I said, no. I said, let me tell you something. One of the greatest joys that I have is paying
Yeah.
you. Because if I can afford to pay you, then
Yeah.
I'm still doing okay. And
Yes.
and then that was a lesson for them to learn how to stand up for yourself
Yes.
and say, listen, I don't know, what happened, but I didn't see, my pay. Like just showing them, hey, this is what you do,
Yeah.
as an employee. But that is really a rewarding feeling, knowing that you are contributing back into society, to the
Yes.
community, watching them spend their little money. Yesterday, a girl was telling me, she's like, I made my first major purchase. It was a new bed set.
Awesome.
It's really a
Awesome.
rewarding feeling. It is.
I
Yeah.
love that. I'm so encouraged by your story. And I love the fact that you are able to play it forward. So maybe it doesn't
Hmm.
look like what you would have thought years ago,
Right.
but the reward you get from it to be able
Yeah.
to be a part of the community where you can help other people see
Yes.
what is possible.
Hmm. Absolutely.
I love that.
Absolutely. Um, I mean, one of the things that are on my plate now, is starting like a class. And this is something I have been playing with back and forth, back and forth. But
Mhm.
now I feel like, okay, this is God sending people in all in one day
Yeah.
to ask me about this class. I had thought about it because of the fact that I have a lot of younger ladies. The oldest right now was 26 and she's getting ready to
Okay.
go back to school. She's a social worker and she's going back to get her master's.
Mhm.
Um, but just talking with them
Yeah.
and I have 2 sons, 18
Mhm.
and 30, and so I've never had the opportunity to be around a lot of younger women,
Okay.
but now I see that they are going through a lot of
Yes.
anxiety and the boyfriend thing and
Yeah.
self-awareness and just all kinds of stuff. So I was thinking about you know, kind of combining the class and making it more of like a mentorship type
Yeah,
thing,
I
because
love it.
it's easy to talk when you're working, when you're doing things, right?
Mhm.
So in the kitchen, we're talking and we're working and we're decorating and piping and all that stuff. And that's when the conversation happens. That's when they
Yeah,
can really freely flow. And that, is when I can, as the adult
yes.
in the room, say, that don't sound right.
Yeah, yeah,
And have that kind of conversation. So, when God dropped that in my thought process,
yeah.
later on that night, a lady came in with her daughter and she's like, Miss Joccola, I know you were talking about having classes. When are you going to get started? Because I really want my daughter to be involved.
Wow,
So that was
wow.
confirmation number one. There was another lady and her boyfriend or husband in the store, and she's like, can I come to this class? I could pass for 17.
Wow.
So after that, I thought, okay, God, I see you. Well, let me think of a good name. And
Mhm.
so what we came up with is In the Mix.
Oh,
In the Mix.
in the mix.
And that, we our age group,
Yeah.
would use that. Oh, you in the mix, meaning like involved.
Yes, yes.
But what I'm looking at it is it's in the mix. It's in the mixing of what we're doing. We're mixing in
Mm,
conversation. We're mixing in,
yeah,
just pushing each other to do better, being responsible,
yes.
learning how to feel good about yourself.
Mhm.
Um, there's so much I've learned that this generation, that's in school and even above probably 5 years back, they're just unaware of.
Yes,
They
yes,
just don't know. And I think it's because we have failed to allow them to experience the fall because we failed,
yes.
right? We don't want them to have the experiences that we had maybe with our parents because our parents were strict or whatever.
Yeah,
And so we're robbing them of the opportunity to get a little bruised so that they can handle certain situations as they're becoming adults.
totally. And I realized that going through failures, learning those lessons, that's what really builds our
Yes.
character, right?
Yep.
And so that's why these young people are gravitating to you
Yes.
because they
Yeah.
they recognize the real and they know that this is what they would need so they can move
Mhm.
forward. So I love that because you are bigger than you.
Yeah. Yeah. It absolutely is. When we did our soft opening, it wasn't a normal soft opening where, your favorite people got to come, whatever. But I had a few of my mentors like pastors and
Mhm.
so one was like the president of the NAACP, one of two, three pastors, and then I invited the folks that came in to do like my marketing, like if you were a vendor,
Yeah.
that turned into a church service.
Wow.
And only one pastor got to speak because she touched on everything.
Wow.
And one of the things that was spoken was that the place will be a place of healing. And
Mm.
while I received that, while I'm in it, sometimes I'm like, no, God, ain't nobody got time for this. I'm trying to get these orders. But it truly is. Like I just see um so many that have come in, whether they were a customer or work there, or but I've had people actually just walk in like, I just want to be here, God sent me here, I want to volunteer, what is it that I can do? And
Wow.
I'm like, what? This is not normal. But
Yeah,
okay, because neither is the business.
exactly,
Not normal.
exactly.
So you kind of receive it, and you have to continue to pray
Yeah,
and make sure that God identify these people to you
mhm,
so that you know who you're letting in. Yeah,
totally,
that's
totally.
very important.
I love this so much because there is someone listening that is so fearful,
Mm,
that is so concerned about what other people are gonna think. Remember you said, "Oh, she's just making cupcakes."
yeah.
What would you tell that woman who is listening right now? What would you encourage her to do?
I tell them to jump and just do it. I'm a believer that he is going to, first of all, he's a rewarder of those that diligently seeks him, right?
Amen.
So if you're seeking and you're really saying, God, this is what I need. I need you to show me. That was always my prayer. Show me, show me, show me. What is it? Not in a million years would I have thought it would be baking, because I
Yeah.
didn't bake, but I believe that God shows up in ways that no one else can get the credit or the glory for. So, and that's just how it's always been, like things that
Yeah.
don't make sense. How did I get here? This is crazy. Things that don't make sense, which is
Yeah.
why people that are not believers or don't know your life, they struggle
Yes.
seeing and understanding what is being manifested, which is why I told you about the person that was like, now sis, what are you doing?
Yeah.
Um, you don't know. They don't know you. They don't
Mhm.
know the power that, resides in you,
Yes.
via God.
Yes.
So I would say you at some point will have to jump, or you are going to be stuck and stagnated and unhappy in a place, even if you jump and it fails. And well, I won't even say fails. It stops. You
Yeah.
pivot.
Yes.
Because things do happen. Just
Mhm.
going back to the book that I was telling you about, it's called I Hope You Fail,
Yes, it is.
by
It is.
Pinky Cole. And she's
Yeah.
basically talking about all the things that would not have happened had she had not had a stumbling block or something
Totally.
happen.
Yeah.
She, is talking about all the things that she learned
Yes.
from bumping into a wall, like, oop, okay, that happened, let me pivot. It just
Yeah.
doesn't mean that, it's over. If God forbid Creamies were to move or not, open next year or whatever, you can
Yes.
best believe there is something else coming down the pike that will have
Definitely.
Creamies name on it.
Yes.
um One, because I don't believe just staying at the same place all at the same time.
Yeah.
I'm looking for multiple things to be manifested out of this one location, but it
Yeah.
wouldn't have never happened if I had been too afraid and
Yes.
held on to that talent that was given to me from my job,
Mhm.
as a result of my position being dissolved. I took that money, I didn't throw it in the bank, but I
Yeah.
went and I bet on me.
Yes.
And I'll say we talked about numbers.
Yeah.
The first couple of months open, we did over 50 something thousand from October to December. And I
Wow.
can say 2 months in, we are definitely on our way to a half a mil by the next year.
Bless.
And I just, when I get nervous, when I'm afraid, when the doorbell isn't ringing, because I have these little chimes on the front door, I
Yeah.
have to remember what the end result was.
Yeah.
What the end result was, each year we built, and we went from 53 to over 100 to 200K. And it's just watching that, something, you're doing something right.
Definitely. Definitely.
And we say in the church, when I look back over my life,
Woo!
baby,
Yes.
you're going to have to come harder than that. You got to fight me to make these doors shut.
I
Unless God
love
says
it.
something else, which means he's
Yeah.
rewarding me with something else. Something else is manifesting. So I would just say to jump. Make sure you have a group. Find your girlfriends, find your
Yeah.
group, your support
Yes.
group.
Yes.
May not be no more than one or two, but find them. Those that are
Yeah.
going to have faith and believe like you believe, that can push
Yeah.
you. I mean, Kia and I, we have a mutual friend,
Yeah.
and we're on the phone often, like, okay, what in the world?
I
But
love it.
we can have that conversation, because entrepreneurship is not easy by any means.
Yeah.
And especially being a woman, and, a woman of color,
Yes.
it is not easy. And I think I took that for granted. I didn't
Mhm.
think, oh, I'm gonna start a business and I'm a woman. No, this is hard work.
Mhm.
I'm there for hours. I probably worked every day last week. Some of those
Yeah.
days I was there to, 1, 2, 3 in the morning.
Wow.
And, I was able to get back up. And that's what lets me know, girl, this is it. If you can work like that and get back up in the morning, like, I can't wait. I got this mad project that I'm about to do. If you can get up that way, that's it.
Yeah.
Now, and like I said, it's not easy by any means. And you definitely have to be properly wired. Um, and a hard worker.
Yeah.
You cannot, if you don't have good work ethic
Mhm.
now, and you are, a nice seasoned age, and you're not good at getting up, going to work every day, and pushing through some pains and some aches. You had a
Yeah.
bad
Yeah.
night, pray, because you're going to need to be able to push through all of that
Yeah.
when you embrace entrepreneurship, but it's not in vain. It's
Yeah,
not in vain.
definitely.
Yep.
I love that so much. Thank you for your encouragement because I know, like I told you, there's someone who's listening who is looking at you, looking at your pictures, looking
Mm,
at your website, looking at just the uniqueness. You
yeah.
can tell the love. I've told
Yeah.
you, like, you can see the love that you put into these desserts. And
Hmm.
it is so special. And so I am just encouraged because someone is going to take action because of what you
Yes.
said. And so I'm
Please do.
grateful for it. So thank you
Yes.
for being on the show.
Thank you. It's truly been a pleasure and an honor. And I pray that someone, I really do pray that someone is able to be encouraged
Yeah.
and receive that final, you can do it,
Yes.
from watching this, because
Yeah.
it is every day, the logo. I have my logo on the front of the store, which is a
Mhm.
picture of a sketch of me
Yeah.
and the name of my business. And every day when I come into that store, I look at that window like, "What?" And then I watch people, like, I'm in a shopping center, so I watch people drive by sometimes like this.
I love it.
Yes, and it is really, it's amazing. It's really amazing. It's amazing, but you can do it. You can do it. Just be prepared
Yes,
to, put in some hard work. Yep,
definitely.
yep.
Definitely. Well, thank you again.
Thank you.